It's been a heartbreaking week for family and friends of Afolabi Stephen Opaso. The 19-year-old international student from Nigeria was fatally shot by Winnipeg police last Sunday, and it's resurfaced the ongoing issue of trust between the police and racialized communities. So let's just have that conversation. Dalil Lowka works with newcomer youth and came to Canada as a refugee himself from the Congo as a teenager. Good morning, Dalil.
Good morning.
And Devon Clunis is the former chief of the Winnipeg police, and he came to Canada himself as an immigrant from Jamaica. Good morning, Devon.
Good morning to you.
So, Dalil, what was your reaction when you heard about the death of Afolabi?
I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised because it's happened before in Canada, so it wasn't like the first time. But it's a lot of pain and anger and frustration, but I wasn't surprised.
Why weren't you surprised?
Yeah, like I said, because it happens. It's something that we've gotten to a point like we're used to, because it happens a lot. So when it happens, it happens. So it's not a surprise really like, oh, really? Because it's something that you're used to. It's kind of like not being surprised when you find a paycheck in your account because you know it's coming. You know what I mean?
Devon, I want to get to your reaction about the news of the death, but when you hear Dalil say that he wasn't surprised that this happened, and Dalil, I'm assuming you're saying you're not surprised that a black man got shot by police.
That's what I'm saying, yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's your reaction to that, first of all?
Well, first I just want to start by saying my condolences to the Opaso family. Like, it's just tragic. But hearing Dalil say that, it also saddens me because, when I heard that, I'm always surprised. I don't expect that to be happening. So I never wanted to get to that place. And it's sad. And this is not criticizing you. I'm saying it's sad that anyone has to not be surprised by something like that. I don't want us to live in a society when we hear something so tragic that it doesn't shock us. I can tell you when I first heard of the shooting, and first I heard it was a 19-year-old student, my heart just sank. And then I heard it was a 19-year-old student from Nigeria. My heart sank even more because right away I go to the tragedy for that family, so far away, and to receive that call. So all those things go through my mind. So I hear what you're saying. I want us to get to the point, Dalil, where every time we hear something like that, we should be shocked. We shouldn't expect it to happen. And that's what we need to work at. Yes. So I hear you clearly.
Yeah. Like I was shocked. I want to be very clear. I don't want the listeners to get me wrong. I was shocked, but I'm saying I wasn't surprised because this happens a lot. So it's not like the first time. When something happens for the first time, you get surprised, or it's because it's something you didn't expect. But this is something we expect to happen. So when it happens, we are shocked, we are devastated, we are angry, we are frustrated, but we are not surprised because this is something that's going on. So it's becoming a normality in the community where it's like when you hear somebody, now we get surprised if someone was tased or someone was just put in handcuffs. Because like, oh, really? He took that time. But the shooting is not something we're very surprised because it's happening, So I'm not saying I'm not shocked. I am shocked. I'm very devastated. But I'm saying the police has made it a normality in our community to shoot and kill black men.
So I hear you.
Yes.
But I would say at the same time, and this is the place I don't want us to get to.
Yes. Where
we believe that the police have made it a normal behavior to shoot and kill black people. I think when you look at the number of incidents that occur on an ongoing basis, we never hear of the incidents that end, in a good way. We hear of the dramatic ones. Yes. And so I do hear you. And that's why I really want to thank you for having this conversation, Nadia, because I don't think we're having enough of these very open, honest, transparent conversations. Say, yes, it's tragic, but that is not the normal behavior and practice of police. And hear me clearly, I'm not defending the police.
No.
Where I want us to get to is a place where, as a community, when something like this happens, we grieve together and we have a better understanding of what's taking place in our community. Because, yes, we see this and it's in the media, but I have to tell you, this is not the normalcy for policing, but we see the big ones when they do happen. Go ahead.
I want to acknowledge, right? I want to really acknowledge that there's a lot of good policemen out there. There's a lot of cops. I want to acknowledge that. And there's a few bad ones. Now, I'm saying we want all of them to be good because I don't know who's going to stop me when I come from the radio. You see what I mean? So I'm speaking here saying, I'm not saying all the police is bad. I've had good interactions with the police. But I'm saying there is some who are using their power, wrongly. So that's what I'm trying to say. So, Devon, that I'm not saying all the police are bad, but I'm saying what happened, right? This job you serve and protect. You can't protect when you kill. Do we agree on that? So I'm saying, if you're going to serve and protect, you should have done you have done everything you could before you shoot. 3 bullets is a lot, Mr. Devon. Do you agree on that? 3 bullets, you want to kill somebody. You could shoot the leg and make the person fall down. Why do you have to shoot and kill? So these are the questions we have in our community. We don't have answers yet, right? So I'm sitting here just to say, I acknowledge that the police, there's a lot of good police, and I want to acknowledge that we live in a country where we can come and criticize the police on national radio, and I'll go home safe and not get shot and killed. Where I come from, you can't do that. So I acknowledge that, and I'm grateful to be in this country. But I'm saying there has to be some changes.
So again, I hear you fully.
Yes.
And what we never want to do is prejudge what occurred there until the full investigation has taken place.
That's true.
So if we're saying that in this incident it was a bad police, we don't know that. Again, no pass. I'm not giving the police a pass. I'm saying we need to wait to find out what all the facts are before we get to that place.
Yes.
Do we ever want to see a young person killed like that? No, but we don't know all the details.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, we need to look at exactly what occurred. And if changes needs to be made, absolutely, I'm on board with you. Yeah. Let's make those changes. But sometimes what happens is that we rush to judgment right away, and it becomes very visceral. And in a tragic situation like this, we don't do everything we can to make sure that we arrive at a better outcome for the entire family. I would like to say I really appreciate the way the community, by and large, is handling this event. I really want to thank, young Mr. Quilu, who is the counsel for the family, in terms of how they're leading the family and the community through this. I think Winnipeg is doing a tremendous job, but that doesn't mean that we shy away from any difficult findings that might come, but I don't want us to prejudge an event like this right away.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to let you know there's a lot of people who would like to protest about this, but we're very scared.
Yes.
I want to be very honest about that, because we've been talking about this. Some of us want to get posters and go to City Hall, but again, we remember we are still black. We could lose another person in the protest. We don't say it's going to happen, but we're already scared. There's a lot of paranoia right now. So yes, I'm very happy that my community is taking this in a very quiet, calmly manner, but it's not because they want to. They would like to be on the streets right now, but again, we don't know what's going to happen if you do that. I'm not saying something bad might happen, but we don't want to risk it. So we're not really calm because we want to, but there's a lot of being smart and trying to not upset maybe the police, maybe us. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things going on. That's what I'm saying. Like, everything's not looking the way it is. And you said you don't know if the police did it is on the right or wrong. Nobody knows that. But what we know is someone 19 years old was killed. That's what we know. Now, I'm coming on this radio because someone died. I'm not saying the police is wrong, but I'm saying they could have tased this guy.
Can we talk about that? Like Dalil's mentioned a couple of times, because I think some people are asking, did you have to shoot to kill? Like, weren't there other options that could have happened? And I'm sure you get those questions
again,
a lot, Devon.
That's part of what I think we don't do a very good job of in terms of explaining what might occur in an event like that. People are saying right away, you could have tased. Again, I wasn't there.
Yeah. Of course. We can only speculate, but I think the questions are fair.
Typically, in a situation, again, yes, there are situations where you can tase, but I will never say they could have in the situation. 3 bullets, you say, we don't know exactly what occurred. Yeah. But in terms of people often say, why didn't you shoot an arm or a leg? Yeah. And I really would like to put citizens through this. Yeah. When you're in a situation like that, it's very difficult to say you're going to target an arm or a leg. We're trained to shoot for center mass, not because you're trying to kill someone, because that's the largest part of the body. It's really unfortunate. That's where all of our critical organs are. Police don't train simply to kill someone. They train to stop a threat to either themselves or someone else. So no police officer puts on their uniform today and say, today I'm going to go out and I'm going to kill someone. They take the job simply because they want to protect. Now they find themselves in a challenging situation. As I said, we're not going to judge this particular event. But I want people to know the reason why police officers become police officers is because they truly want to serve and protect, and they'll put themselves in harm's way. So when something tragic like this occurs, all I'm simply saying that we don't want to immediately believe that there's some malicious intent. But let's wait for the findings and see what they tell us. And if changes need to be made, by all means, let's make changes. Absolutely.
Devon, you've lived your life both as a black man, as an immigrant, and as a police officer, right? So when you hear news of this, right, and you talked about how your first reaction was, of course, about the tragedy of the loss of life, but you must also think about what this is going to do to relations between racialized communities and the police.
Oh, absolutely. I remember in 1987 when I applied to become a police officer, it was all about building a relationship between police and the community. I had never seen a black police officer in our city. I do a lot of work right now across the United States and our country trying to build that relationship. But I think it's also important for us to appreciate. I love the fact that you pointed out the fact that you feel good being in Canada. You can come on and you can criticize authority and the police. That's a beautiful thing. A lot of people are here simply because of that. We often hear the argument that there's this really bad relationship between people and the racialized community. Well, the most recent stats that came up from StatsCan at the end of last year in November shows that the vast majority of racialized communities, immigrants, actually have strong confidence in the police. I'm not saying they all do, but really typically what we feed is the negative, and the majority of us start to believe that must be the reality. When in fact it's not. I'm not saying it's perfect. There's work to be done. But we need to realize that a lot of the racialized communities, and especially new immigrants, have a lot of trust in the police. Some don't, but most do.
Let's talk about that, because you did share that study with me, and we'll post it for our audience. So, 48% of black communities have confidence in the police, but that compared to non-racialized people that who experience a much higher level, 64%. So black communities do have a lesser degree of confidence in the police than non-racialized.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Mr. Devon, I want you to understand. I'm going to speak from my experience. When I met you, I don't know, 2015, 2016 at the conference, and I met you, and you started talking to me as Dalil, not as a police officer, even if you're still the chief of police. It changed my perspective on the police. So there's a lot of black people who have confidence in police, because there's people like you and your friends who come out in the community and talk about your jobs and talk about how you're here to protect and serve. So the reason why that number 48 is still not a lot compared to 100, but I'm saying there is that confidence because there's some good policemen who still come to our games. I told you we have summer games and police come and sit with us and have coffee with us. That brings the perspective that these people are also humans like us. But what I'm saying is, just because people like you come out and do those jobs and people have that confidence in police, we don't see ourselves in the police. We don't have people of color in the police. How many? I haven't seen a lot around. So what I'm saying is, we have to diversify the police. Like you guys have to make sure there's people of color, brown people. There's, you know what I mean? We don't have that.
Dalil,
I agree.
Do you trust the police?
Who, me personally?
Yeah.
A little bit.
And that's a fair answer.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna say that if I was stopped, and it happened to me before, I was pulled over 3 a.m. I was really scared because I didn't know. I knew I had insurance. I knew I have my driver's license. I knew everything was good, up to par. But the truth is, I was very nervous. He could think I had something in my car, because that's how much of, I don't know how scary we look at when the police stops you, even when they come to your house to talk to you, you think you did something wrong. Most of the times in our community, that's the case. So I trust the police a little bit because of people like you, because of your friends who come to our communities. But the truth is, if I was to meet a cop by myself, I am very scared.
Tell us a little bit about your experiences with police?
Personally,
yeah.
I'm going to say this. I used to have a BMW, right? My friend, it was not even a newer model. It was like a 2009 BMW, right? And I'm driving this car. I promise you, every week, at least once a week, I would get stopped. They wouldn't tell me why. They would ask for license registration, and if I gave it to them, they would let me go. At least once a week, until the car was sold. And now I'm driving, something I've never gotten stopped. So now I look back and think about it. Was it because of the BMW? I don't know. But nothing. I'm not going to sit on the radio and say they did anything to me. They threatened. No. But they would stop me at least once a week. For 3 months. Once a week. You see what I mean? So then it brings the question, am I not, did I look like a criminal driving a BMW? Do I look so young on a BMW? Is it because I'm black? These are the questions we ask because we don't know, right? So if the statistics are right, but we also have to remember those statistics are made by, we don't know who's doing, I don't know who's making the statistics, right? We don't know how transparent they are, right?
That is fair. But what I'm hearing what you're saying,
yes,
you're actually pointing out some things that we in policing can do better. You talked about the relationship piece.
Yes.
Right. One of the challenges we have in the city, and I think in policing generally speaking right now, is that, and I don't think most people recognize this, when a police officer goes to work, when I was a young police officer going to work, there were days I might have only 10 calls, and I have a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
I can tell you the current generation of officers, every day they go into work, they probably have 100 plus, maybe a couple hundred calls waiting. So they're just going from one call to the next to the next.
Yeah.
You know, I always talk about the fact that we want to build these strong, trusting relationships. To do that, you have to spend time. But if you're only going from one incident to the next and you don't have time to actually do the things that we're talking about, that's part of what we need to look at. And I'm saying not just police, I'm talking us as a culture, as a city. There are so many different things that impinge upon just the work that police do, many different variables. Sometimes we try to address just one piece, and that's not the solution. So we need to start looking at this more holistically.
And it doesn't seem to be, that doesn't seem to change, is going to change anytime soon. Like the police are overwhelmed, understandably, right? Yes. Meanwhile, you have these communities who feel real fear.
Yes.
So is it, should we, is believing that one day these racialized communities who arguably feel over-policed, and one day the police are going to have this relationship of trust, is that just, are we aiming too high? Let's be real. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Mr. Devon is giving us, is a very smart man. So there's a way is circling around. Everything he's saying is right. I'm not disagreeing, but I'm saying the police could fund and have more police who can come to the communities at least once a week. We come from Ericom, you know those areas, Ericom, North End, where there's a lot of immigrants. That's where they put most of the immigrants. But the truth is, they see police when an incident happened.
Correct.
So you have to understand, if I only see you when there's trouble, every time I see you, even if you just came to give me a Christmas hamper, I'm going to run away. Mr. Devon, you came to visit me at my mom's house. All my neighbors locked their doors because you were still chief of police.
And
this is a true story.
How much of this it seems to be depending on one person, Devon Clunis? Like, I'm sure there are lots of other people, but it does feel like it seems to be dependent on just a few people who believe in this.
We put Mr. Clunis on the spot because he looks like us.
Yeah.
He's an immigrant. He knows the things that he came here when he's 12 years old. So most of the things I'm talking about, because he didn't become chief of police at 12 years old. So I'm putting him on the spot because he went through the things that most of us are going through.
But he's not in the police anymore.
He's not in the police anymore, but these are his friends. They bring coffee, they have emails, they have phone number. He can talk to them and say, hey man, you're putting me on the spot, try and change some things. That's what I'm saying.
You're correct. I can pick up the phone today and call the chief of police, call anyone in government, and we're going to have a conversation. So here is where my hope lies, though.
Yes.
You and I are having this conversation.
Yes, boss.
Nadia, I thank you for having this conversation. It is my hope and desire that we continue to have conversations like this. Do I believe we'll get to a place and time where racialized communities have that trust in the police? I absolutely do. I know that we were there, right?
Were we?
Absolutely. I fully believe that we were there. I've seen it, I've experienced it, and I know that we can get there again. We most definitely will. We have to look at the last couple of years of what's happening in community, not just in terms of policing. We had George Floyd, then we have the pandemic where people were separated, isolated. They weren't having meaningful conversations. We're at a point where this city, this province, our country can lead in terms of building those relationships. The fastest growing segment of the Canadian population is immigrants coming in.
Yes.
That change is taking place. So yes, we have an opportunity to do it, and I do believe we'll get there. I'm making the commitment. Dalil's making the commitment.
I hope when we get there, Mr. Clunis, I hope when we get there, we haven't lost at least 500 black men, right?
I don't believe we will.
Because I don't know how fast you guys are moving, but I hope you move faster.
Well, hold on, but I'm going to challenge you here.
We have 1 minute.
It's not those guys. It's not the police. It's us.
Yes.
This is a joint responsibility between the entire community. So if we expect that change is only going to come from one segment, we lose. But if we realize it's all of us, we win.
That's what I'm saying. It's all of us if you guys involve with us.
Absolutely.
You're not coming to our communities, so there's no way we're having these conversations. There's no way we're having these relationships. So we're scared of you. You're scared of us. You're shooting us because of your safety. We're running away, coming to you with knives because of our safety. So it's going to be a circle and a circle and a circle. Okay, you guys have to start coming to our communities, give us Christmas hampers, have conversations with us. So when I meet you, Mr. Devon, I'm looking at a friend. I'm looking at an authority figure, but also a friend. But when I look at you as my enemy, I'm going to react the best way I know how to.
Thank you for that.
That's what
You've
I'm
given
saying.
us, as I said, a lot of issues, a lot of avenues to help resolve this. So thank you, Dalil.
Thank you, Mr. Devon.
Thank you to both of you for having this conversation. I love the spontaneity of it, the passion of it, and it's an ongoing conversation. I think one of the things that media needs to do is have these conversations on a continued basis, not just when tragedy happens. So thank you to both of you for coming in today.
Thank you.